Hi. Today, we're gonna get pretty darn white. So, strap in and enjoy. Today, it's all about the noble white metals. Hi. You know, some choices in life are simple. Paper or plastic? Cash or credit? Do you want fries with that? Not all choices in jewelry are that easy, particularly when it comes to white metal. White metal jewelry is the oldest form of jewelry we know. White is the most popular color for precious metals in jewelry, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about some facts first about the different kinds of metals there are, and then we'll get into some of the more esoteric stuff. Let's start with gold. Everybody knows white gold. It's everywhere. Walk into any jewelry store pretty much anywhere in the world, and if it's white, it's usually mostly gold. Here's some fun facts about our favorite precious metal. A sugar cube, if it were made of gold, would weigh about an ounce. Sugar cubes have a much lower specific gravity, of course, and they're not nearly as durable for jewelry. But if you're using gold, you're going to find that it has a specific gravity of about 19.32, and all that means is that 1 cubic centimeter of gold weighs 19.32 times its weight in water for its size. So, gold is pretty darn dense, which makes it a great metal for jewelry. It's the reason gold is one of the most popular choices for engagement rings and things you're going to wear on a regular basis. It's not as expensive as platinum, usually speaking, and it's durable, for the most part. Now, platinum, on the other hand, is a lot denser than gold. It carries a specific gravity of about 21.45 to be specific. Never mind the pun. Palladium is another option. Maybe you've heard of palladium, maybe you haven't. But a fun fact, palladium is actually the newest precious metal we have. It was found in 1802 and named in 1803 for Pallas, which is an asteroid that was named after a moniker given to the goddess Athena after she slew Pallas, the daughter of Triton. Fun fact. Palladium is about half the weight. It's only got a 12 for its specific gravity. So it's a very light metal. For really large pieces, like this one right here, it's actually a great choice. And then there's silver. Everybody knows and loves silver. Silver is actually the oldest precious metal we know of. We estimate it was found around 5000 BCE, and some of the oldest surviving pieces of jewelry we know about that are in our museums, that are in historical collections, are made of silver. So, let's talk about gold for a second. Gold, we mine a lot of it, but not as much as you might think. When you walk into a jewelry store, especially if you're in a mall where there's a lot of jewelry stores, it's easy to think that there's just tons of gold everywhere, we'll never run out of it, and it's here to stay for all eternity. Not true. Now, while it is true that the only way we get gold, platinum, any of the noble metals, is that they have to be forged in the heart of a dying star. That's the only way these materials get made in our universe. So all the gold in the entire world came from the death of a star somewhere in the universe while the Earth was forming. Fun. Now, gold. We mine enough gold annually to produce about a 14-foot cube of the stuff every single year. We've mined enough gold in the entirety of human existence to build about a third of the Washington Monument in DC. That sounds like a lot, but it really isn't if you consider the fact that a lot of the other metals we've mined, you could probably rebuild the entirety of Chicago about 100 million times over. That might be hyperbole, but it's a fact. Gold, platinum, palladium, silver, they're all exceedingly rare. But between them, there are rarity differences, and sometimes that impacts the price, sometimes it doesn't. For instance, platinum. If you took all of the platinum that existed on the entire planet Earth and melted it all together, you'd get about a 20-foot cube. Not nearly enough to rebuild the Washington Monument. Now, if you want to think of it another way, there's enough platinum on this planet to fill about 2.5 inches of the bottom of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's it. Now think about how rare that is, and consider for a moment that palladium, another platinum family metal, is actually 15 times rarer than that, and it's about 30 times rarer than gold. But palladium is less expensive than platinum, something to think about, but it is still a pure white. It has other uses, and you can actually create palladium inside a nuclear fusion reactor. We haven't extracted any of it yet because it's extremely dangerous, but it can be done. That's just an interesting fact. Silver. Every single one of you watching this video at home, I'm willing to bet, has a few pieces of silver jewelry. In fact, most of your jewelry collection might be made of silver. That's great. We love silver. We use a ton of silver at Demare. Why? Silver's fun to work with. It's malleable, it's ductile, it holds a shape, you can antique it, patina it, color it. Silver actually is the most reflective of all the precious metals out there. Silver reflects 95% of all light that contacts it on a polished surface. That's good news if you're making mirrors, what silver used to be made out of. Silver also, because it is the most reflective surface, and you might not know this, was the preferred metal for setting diamonds and other clear, transparent gemstones for most of recorded jewelry history because it was so reflective. Look up some antique pieces sometime from the Middle Ages, Edwardian era, heck, even into the late Victorian era. You'll find extremely valuable, very, very expensive, and finely made pieces of jewelry where the body of the work is gold and the setting for the diamonds is silver. So the next time somebody tells you diamonds and silver is a waste of money, you tell them, take a history course. Now, let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of gold that there are. Platinum pretty much just comes in platinum. There are some little things you can alloy into it to change the composition slightly. And silver, it's pretty much all sterling. Not much of a difference between sterling and fine silver. Palladium is fine just by itself. It doesn't actually need any alloys. So let's focus on gold. Since you're probably going to buy gold, you probably already have gold jewelry, let's talk about the specifics. First, let's start with caratage. Caratage refers to the fineness of gold. Now, in the US, we refer to it as a carat system, with a K, not a C. That's for gemstones. The caratage of metal you'll usually find in North America is 10 or 14 carat. 10 carat gold, in my opinion and in the opinion of most other jewelers and artists, shouldn't even be called gold. 10 karat gold is only 42% actual gold. The rest of it, all base metals. Now yeah, 10 karat white gold jewelry is extremely hard, and that sounds like a good thing at first. It's not. The harder a metal gets, the more brittle it becomes, meaning you can crack it before you can bend it. 10 karat gold and 14 karat gold, which is about 58% pure gold, 58.5 to be precise, is so hard that when you scratch the bottom of your ring, what you're actually doing is tearing out a little ribbon of metal each and every time. That's why you can look at some old rings, maybe your grandmother or your great-grandmother had, if you're lucky enough to have the heirlooms passed down, that were white gold, and the bottom of the shank is just a thread now. There's almost nothing left. It takes a long time to wear away, but it does wear away. It also means that if you have a diamond or other precious stones set in the metal, if you impact that with something hard, the harder that white gold is, the more likely it is to push the stone out of the mounting, if not chip it, because it doesn't move in the area of least resistance. 18 karat is a little bit better. 18 karat is 75% pure gold. It also means it weighs more. The higher the caratage, the more gold content. As we talked about earlier, gold's pretty darn heavy. It's heavier than zinc and nickel and all that other crap that goes in there. So, it's going to weigh more. It's going to be softer, which is actually a good thing. And usually, you're going to get a richer color. Now, we're talking about hardness here. The hardness in white gold, the thing that makes it hard, comes from the nickel and the zinc. Sometimes other things. I've seen white gold with cadmium, with, well, name something you could be allergic to. It's probably in American white gold. Now, there is a distinction. Walk into any chain jewelry store in the United States of America. You're going to find American white gold, sometimes called nickel white gold. Nickel white gold isn't actually white. Because it's yellow gold that's alloyed with white-ish metals, those white-ish metals tint the gold. They bleach it a little bit. But if you've ever tried to put bleach on a pair of jeans, in which case we need to have another conversation about your fashion, because acid wash needs to go away, you'll notice it doesn't come out a bright white. It's kind of a light yellow, like a tea-stained or a coffee-stained color. It's subtle, but it's there. And when you place that against white diamonds, the color difference isn't enough that it falls outside the uncanny valley, and it makes the stones look dingy. To remedy this, jewelers in the United States and other places that use nickel, where it's legal to use nickel, we'll get to that in a second, put rhodium over top of the metal. It's electroplated. Rhodium is a platinum family metal, it is hypoallergenic, and it's bright, natural white. But it's only skin deep. White rhodium does wear off, and in general, if you have a white rhodiumed engagement ring that's over top of white gold, in order to keep it looking fresh, you probably have to repolish and replate the ring every single year. Now, this varies by how much wear and tear you put on it, but it's something to think about. You're going to lose a little bit of metal every single time you repolish. And you're going to be without your ring, which is, you know, a personal problem, but one worth considering. Now, what's a person to do if they want white gold? Well, remember how I said we'll get to something in a second? Here's that something we're about to get to. In the European Union, it is illegal, not just frowned upon, illegal, to use nickel in gold alloys. Why is that? Because nickel is an allergen. It's an extreme allergen, and anyone can develop a nickel allergy, even if you weren't born with one. You can develop a nickel allergy as you age, especially if you're exposed to lots of nickel in the white gold that you wear. Now, I'm not trying to scare any of you here, but it is something that you should keep in mind. At Demare, we don't use American white gold at all, because I hate that. I hate how brittle it is, I hate how easily it wears away, and I don't like the fact that we could make something for you, you could wear it for 10 years, and then all of a sudden never be able to wear it again because you have a nickel allergy. Not necessarily from the piece, but c'est la vie. That's how life is. What we use are a couple different kinds of gold, more exotic alloys. And if you look around, you can find jewelers that'll use these. Just make sure you're actually getting them and not American white gold that's been plated. I've heard some horror stories. I'm not going to name any names. Let's talk about the different kinds of white gold you can get if you ask for them. Now, these are very important, and I want you to pay close attention, because this might save you a ton of money in the future. I will reiterate that. This could save you a ton of money in the future. I'll let that sink in. Palladium white gold. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the most common form of white gold out there, other than nickel white. It's commonly referred to as European white gold because they can't use nickel. It basically just takes palladium, takes gold, blends them together. That's the alloy. Sometimes there's some other things thrown in to make the metal a little bit more durable, since palladium is a soft metal also. But in general, and if you're getting a really good alloy, it's going to be almost entirely just palladium, just gold. So in an 18 karat blend, you're getting 75% pure gold, 25% pure palladium, maybe with a little modifier here and there. Palladium white gold is naturally white. Whether it's 10 karat, 14 karat, or 18 karat, it is white all the way through. It's not a tea-stained color. It's not dingy looking. You don't have to rhodium plate it, which means you don't lose metal when you repolish, which means it's not going to change color on you over time. Now, gray gold. Gray gold is a little bit more exotic. I don't know if it'll pick up on the camera here, if you can see the quality of the color. But gray gold comes in a couple different varieties. You can get light gray, dark gray. It all depends on the quality of the metallurgist and their skill level to what they can get. We use gray gold. I like gray gold because it is a darker color than white, but when you set it against diamonds, the grayness of it is actually slightly blue. That slight blue-gray that even your conscious eyes don't detect actually makes the diamonds appear brighter and whiter. Now, how does this save you a bunch of money considering these exotic alloys are more expensive than nickel white gold? Easy. They behave like platinum. Platinum is the single best metal for setting diamonds or other precious or delicate gemstones in because of platinum's properties. It's extremely ductile. If you strike a platinum setting, say on the corner of this delicate princess cut, it's going to flow in the area of least resistance. When you scratch platinum or any of the platinum family metals, like palladium, instead of tearing out that ribbon of metal, what you're actually doing, if you looked at it on a microscopic level, think of it more like dragging your finger through Play-Doh. All the metal is still there, it's just moved. So you can rebuff it and lose virtually nothing because you're just pushing it back into place. Now, I don't want you to get the impression that platinum is as soft as Play-Doh. That's simply not true. It's metal. Metal is metal. But if we're talking hyperbole, that would be the example I would use. So when you blend palladium with gold, you're getting some of those very, very valuable platinum characteristics in your gold jewelry for less than the price of platinum. So if you strike your engagement ring, slam your hand in a car door, scuff it, whatever, instead of potentially chipping or losing your stones, you're much more likely to just have to have a jeweler fix them. That's it. It's not to say it happens every time, but it'll give you a much better chance of retaining your valuable investment rather than just saving a few bucks at the start and maybe losing a $5,000 or $6,000 rock down the road. There's a very famous phrase that I like to use. The sweetness of low price is swiftly replaced by the bitterness of low quality. That should tell you something. Now, we've talked enough about gold. I'm not going to get into any of the other strange new alloys out there like X1 or any of that. I find them to not work as well, and honestly, if you want my opinion, stay away from them. I don't like them at all. You shouldn't either. They have a lot of the same problems nickel white does, with the added benefit of being more expensive. I don't know why you'd bother. Now, platinum. Everybody loves platinum. You want the platinum card, you want the platinum finish, the platinum Patron. Everybody wants platinum. Why? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's exceptionally rare. It's valuable. It works like a dream. Ask any bench jeweler if they like working with platinum. The answer should be yes, or they should probably get an MRI. Platinum is like butter to us. It works so beautifully. It sets stones so perfectly. It takes a beautiful polish. Platinum actually patinas over time. It's just a gorgeous material. It's very, very heavy. For people like me, I like heavy jewelry. I want to feel it on. I don't want to feel like I'm wearing something made out of paper or plastic. Or French fries. I want to feel it. And platinum has that feel. There's something intrinsic that speaks to us as humans when you pick up a small piece of platinum jewelry and you feel the weight of it. It's incredible. Everybody loves platinum. But it is expensive. Now, there was sort of a brief period where I'm pretty sure dinosaurs came back from the dead and were ridden by Nazis and cats and dogs lived together in harmony, and platinum became less expensive than gold. That quickly corrected itself, but generally speaking, you will always pay more for platinum. Always. And it's worth it. If you can afford platinum, get it. Yeah, the gray gold alloys are fantastic. They solve a lot of the problems. But platinum, there's a reason it's called the eternal metal. And especially when we're talking about an engagement ring. If you can do platinum, do the platinum. It's going to last forever. If you can't, gray gold, palladium white, European white gold, they're your next best bet. So, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any more questions about precious metal alloys, about what stones go with them, you name it, we're here to help. Just send us a message on Facebook, on our website, tweet me, or get a hold of us here on YouTube. And please don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends so you can be their jewelry hero too. Thanks again, and as always, please have a day worth remembering.